Okay, so it's very late of the night, but I'm just showing that there are still planes going over the roof of this place at this late hour, even though the planes have been going over almost every 30 seconds all day. And the only reason it, like I was up all night, so I had a sleep in the afternoon, and basically planes were going over the roof of the bed every 30 seconds all afternoon. A patrolling stalker walking up the street at this late time, coming out of nowhere. Can you see it? And look how they're blinking their lights. See how the patrolling stalker will just randomly get into a car right in front of the place. They don't live on this street, they don't live in this house, but they will get in. Did you see the blinking lights? They're getting in, but it's too dark to show it. Of course, there is the patrolling plane still going over my head. At this late time, and the noise of those planes, even though I have been listening to them for years, and that's combined with the deliberate noise of everything on the street all day, every day, where it's deliberate sound. There's another patrolling plane right in my line of sight. Can you see it moving through the light? Right in my line of sight. That's to take over my life. My life is my sight and sound. My senses determine my life. These planes and everyone around takes over your life. There's a patroller in the place just come out right opposite at this late time. A patroller. That, when I say patroller, it's basically a neighbour, but it's they're part of the patrol control system. But see how the car is pulling out in front here? That person just came out of nowhere from the end of a small dead-end street and basically is now pulling out at this very late time of night. They don't live in that house, they don't live on the street, but see, all the vehicles all over this suburb of Leichhardt are basically just left and are all stage vehicles. In other words, every single resident in the inner west section of the city of Sydney has access to not just the vehicles that they may pretend to own, they actually are allowed access to all these vehicles that are left all over the street. They get into random cars, but they're not random cars because they are given access to them because they're basically a patrol control force of a few individual human beings. When I say that, because they are technical beings and they use technology and sight and sound to suppress a human being. They use the technology to communicate with one another, to, stalk and patrol individual human beings, because the individual human beings are in very small numbers, and whereas the android beings make up 99.9% in some areas. Why are the planes still going over, driving me crazy? The sound of those aeroplanes when they go over the roof, like if you happen to be up on the top story of this place, is astronomically disturbing. Even, but either way, it's continual noise, see, because it's like every 30 seconds and going all day, and as you can see, half the night. See how that plane just went over? Now, as soon as my eyesight pops up here, look what is coming into my line of sight. Another plane. Can you see it moving? As soon as my eyes, that's deliberate patrolling of my life or my senses, because my senses are my sight and my sound. That makes up my life. My life is really what I see and hear. What I see and hear around me is my reality, my life. They are trying to control and limit my life to where everywhere I look, all I see the patrol plane in my line of sight. As soon as I looked up after that one went over my head, a bird, a big bat, just flew in the rest of my sight when I diverged my attention. See, can you see it going through that light, and now it's moving there? Right in my line of sight. I can hear it too, but the mobile won't pick it up. So my sight and sound is continually taken. Yes, they have flashing lights in front of me right in the place too to take over my sight, even though that's not particularly disturbing, I have to admit, because normally I am hit with flashing exceptionally bright headlights and tail lights of vehicles. Everywhere I look, if I went down the street right now, even at this late time, everywhere my sight is, I will see these bright flashing lights. Can you imagine what that is like? See, what I'm trying to say is that when I leave the place, my sight is being taken over by these apparently normal natural vehicles with flashing bright lights, but it's only where I look. That's how you know you're in a human mind control matrix area. The inner west section of the city of Sydney, which has, I think, a population of 4 million people, which are a large amount of that 4 million, well over 3 million, 3.5, probably closer to the 4 million mark. There would be only a very limited number of individual real humans left in the city of Sydney, I'm guessing. That's my observation in my own area, where you're talking about, say, 200,000, maybe more. But don't forget, they have vehicles, and the same as the planes. These planes that go over my head all day and half the night, they are not coming from the area that's around me. But as you can see, they're coming right over my head and over the roof all day and half the night. And that's a sound vibration that I have to listen to. I think they're finally stopped now. But what I'm trying to show, I should show it, but this is continual. My mistake. They have not finished with me yet for the night, no. Straight over my head. These planes just happen to go straight over my head wherever I go in this suburb. As soon as my sight looks up, another one is appearing. Can you see it? I'm going to try to show it. If only I could zoom in, I could show that my sight is being overwhelmed. So everywhere I look, I have a light in my eyes. See how the plane is coming? Watch it come through this street light. Also, the street lights, all the lights around Leichhardt are exceptionally bright. Every vehicle has, headlights that are on high beam, which is normally only for out in the country where there are no lights at all, whereas in the bright, we have bright, exceptionally bright street lights and bright lights everywhere in this city. See it going through the light? Through the tree now, so it will disappear, even though my eyesight is still picking it up even as I look. So my senses are being overwhelmed by this deliberate human mind control system that has been deliberately set up around me, so that I can't live, so that I can't breathe really, because essentially this is very late of a night now. It's like close to midnight, okay? And yet, you know, I come out here on a Sunday, which is normally the quietest day, at midnight on a Sunday night, and you know, I still have planes that have been going every 30 seconds over the place most of the day, and up till midnight now of a night. So, you know, but either way, like I say, if I decide to just go down the main street here, which is just around the corner from the small dead-end street where where the place is here, basically, I will be hit with a sight and sound program around me, where every car will have exceptionally bright headlights, which are like high beam all cars will have their headlights, and they will have huge headlights too, bigger than, some even have double headlights. They will flash their lights at you wherever you look, but wherever you look you will always have a bright light in your eyes. This is, you know, like almost like being under interrogation all the time. It is human mind control suppression, deliberate and very unhuman, because it's done by unhuman beings. They're exactly the same planes, exactly the same, oh gee, there's a huge rat ran along the thing there. I can't see it. Oh, it's huge. Oh jeez. Oh goodness gracious me, that's actually to frighten me. You see, it ran along the electricity wire. Oh, oh, it's huge. That's a distraction too, you see, that's to frighten me. And another bat just went through in front of me. I'm not sure why these things are that's to distract my conversation, also to make me close the door so it doesn't run inside or something, because I'm actually, oh, I better close that door, I think. Oh, it's coming down onto the tree. Oh dear. Oh dear. I don't know. There's another plane in my line of sight. Can you see it going through the, it'll come through the lights. See the plane coming through, can you see it? Oh. See the plane going through the light in my line of sight, taking over my senses, so that I'm always aware of being stalked and patrolled by these android beings. To me that plane looks quite large, even though the mobile will only show it as a speck, and my mobile picture quality is very poor, unfortunately. I'm just a bit funny about that huge rat that ran along there, so I don't want it to come near me. Of course I leave stuff out for the birds, so maybe I'm also feeding other so-called wildlife. I tend to think that all life is life, but I, unfortunately, like most human beings, have been conditioned to be frightened of certain wildlife or certain life, and to embrace others, but that's just conditioning, which I'm aware of, but that's like all my false fears that I have. Basically, you know, that's designed so that a human being is always in a state of fear. That's part of their mind control program that all human beings are subjected to when you're even born. But you shouldn't have to be subjected to this oppressive, deliberate mind control at, when you're 60, when life should be quiet. That plane is actually very low to my eyes, but the mobile will make it look as though it's quite high up in the sky. But these planes are all human suppression military planes. I mean, that means that they're part of this patrol control system that is set up around individual human beings that are not of the artificial nature, shall we say. In other words, that's really what it comes down to, because even though I'm using a mobile, I'm not using it to watch and to communicate with other human beings on the street, much less with military planes or military vehicles. But essentially, civilians are part of this army. In fact, most are, apart from the aeroplanes and the obvious military workmen, because they appear to be military men that have workman skills. Because I think we're told, even that even when you're in the army, you will often, your particular expertise and skills will be used. But when you are in maybe more advanced sections of the army that you're not aware of, like I saw them a few years back when they first started to show me that they were patrolling and watching me and trying to close in on me. They actually showed me their power by having all these army operatives just climbing over this set of units or a big building block when I walked past. I'd never seen anything like it. They were literally just, in fact, even the regular civilians were stopping to look at it, but that was it. But of course some of them are actually part of it, so they're only doing that because they're all essentially getting the human energy, because these are an artificial workforce, or an artificial army, you could say, that are essentially draining the human energy to power themselves. They get more energy while they drain the human energy, which is why I am, barely got enough energy to even speak into a mobile and feel like 100 years old. Obviously, I'm not young, I'm in the 6 digits, 60 odd, but I feel like about 200, because until they closed in on me, I didn't feel too physically or mentally bad. In fact, I think that's why they also came down on me, because obviously during your life sometimes you're more physically oh, that rat is back on the thing there. Can you see it? Oh dear. Can you see it up there on the light or not? Oh no, it's not coming out. but I can't show it, but it's a huge rat. Oh dear. Maybe I haven't got a possum in my roof at all. Maybe I've got a rat. Oh dear. Dear. I think I'm doing a good turn leaving some food out for a possum, but maybe, you know, I don't know. It's funny, but like I say, you're conditioned to fear something that is no different to a possum, really. And I am, but I recognise that it is unrealistic, that all life is just life. This is not life. The aeroplane is not life. I should fear the aeroplane only because it's suppressing my senses with that noise and sound going over my roof every 30 seconds all day and half the night. You can see yourself. And so it's you know, otherwise it should be a form of transport for someone. And no doubt these planes are used for transport too, just as the workmen that are army operatives do some useful work around the area. Most of the time it's stage set-up work, you know, because like I say, if you've got them digging up footpath on a few streets year after year, week after week, every day of the year almost, you realise that that is not necessary work, that is just to patrol people. That's like where you have authorities or even, you know, basically every vehicle on the road is the same as a police patrol car. And they assume that if you're a human being, you're some sort of criminal. If you're a human being and you want to be happy and you want to raise the frequency and vibration of yourself, you are a criminal in these androids' eyes. That's what it comes down to. So even after midnight, and I've still got patrol planes going over my head and in my line of sight, because actually they go over here, and then when my sight is over there, they go right across the sky in front of me. But the mobile won't pick up those images, but my eyes and even my ears still pick up the sound. But obviously some sound is astronomically loud and very mentally disturbing, but don't forget it's continual sound, so even when the sound is less, I have been sensitized to sound over the last 7 years. So if I heard that same plane or the same noisy vehicles when I go down the road here, which are astronomically noisy, some of them, and the bikes and things deliberately making aggressive, very anti-human, very anti-life sounds, because that would be even very unpleasant for any person. But when they're doing it continuously around you only, see, that's the thing too, like this traffic only makes the noise when it goes past me. It stops. It's a bit like the police car goes past you and sets its siren off as soon as it sees you, right when it's close to you, and then it stops as soon as it's round the block. That wouldn't even be practical. But essentially every vehicle, every truck, every motorbike, every pedestrian, every push bike, every person in the inner west section of Sydney is essentially part of this patrol control force. There would be only a few real human beings in all these suburbs, in amongst the many 100,000 people. The city of Sydney has a population, I'm told, of 4 million. Nearly all of that 4 million is part of this patrol control force. And because the vehicles that come in their thousands and thousands, and actually would, like if I'm down the road for a half an hour or an hour, I would have literally over 1 million vehicles going past me. Many of them, of course, are the same vehicles. They're going around the block and doubling back round. But many of them aren't, and they're coming from other suburbs. Because basically, if they haven't got enough vehicles in the area to suppress you with their sight and sound show, they bring them in, and they use a main road, knowing that you walk along it, as an excuse to do that. But even if you try to go down a more quiet street, which you can't if you need to go down the main road. Patrol plane. I've got a huge rat looking at me on the thing there, which is, I shouldn't be mentioning that on the thing, but it's like, I want to have a cat, but I can't have a cat because the cats aren't allowed to live with me. So instead I have a great big rat living with me, which is not right. I could mention stories of animals, but I'm not going to. But, androids don't value human life, but they also don't value any other life, so they have no problem, getting rid of it, especially if they know that it brings your mood down. They know it affects your emotions. They know that that you're going to be, disturbed by it. I think I'm getting bitten by mosquitoes out here. Oh, I think that's why are there mosquitoes out here at this late time. But all these little things. In fact, I could mention so many things how they use even nature against you. I could mention examples over the last 7 years where you're trying for even a small amount of making things pleasant, trying to raise the frequency and vibration, particularly when I became aware of it, that they were using me to keep the vibration in the area low. Because don't forget that if there's only a small amount of human beings in a large area, if there's only a small amount of human beings, individual human beings that have potential for a happy vibration, shall we say, because everything's frequency, vibration and energy. This whole reality is made up of material, but everything is affected by frequency and vibration. But you have to say that the android beings, can you hear the unpleasant bike going past? That's actually a block away down the end of the dead-end street here where I live, but it's still loud enough for me to hear it inside the house and where I'm standing. And sometimes it's astronomically loud, because if I can hear it inside, that means they're making astronomical noise deliberately as they go past, just on the road, just past the dead-end street here, which is ridiculous. But if that was a normal reality, people would complain about it, but the androids on the street don't complain about it because they benefit from it, because they are extracting my negative energy when I have an unpleasant reaction to that aggressive, unpleasant noise in my ears. It's not just psychologically disturbing for me to realise that they're against you and that they're sending, driving their vehicles aggressively as if to say, we don't approve of you, we don't want you on the street. But it's also just the physical impact of that sound on your ears. It actually is physically, it vibrates in your ears to where it can actually even cause damage. But it's the same with the bright lights in your eyes. Like, your eyes are uncomfortable, but it's mainly the psychological thing that they don't give you a break from the bright headlights and the bright blinking lights, the bright flashing lights, to where you have no reality. My reality is made up of these beings because they're encroaching, they're stalking and patrolling me with their sight and sound show. They're using their vehicles, they're using their presence, they're using technology to combine in massive numbers. 4 million people in the city of Sydney, and almost 3/4 of them, I don't know the exact numbers, I only know that it's almost close to 100% in the inner west, where I am. And I'm in the suburb of Leichhardt, which is a part of the inner west. I know that that is a total program, that it is almost what I'd call a military army android base. This has been shown to me because they show their uniforms, they wear the same colours, they surround you in the same patrolling manner. They make the excessive aggressive anti-life noise at you to let you know that they don't approve of you and that they actually want you off the street. Just as if a police car goes past and puts its siren on, for say 5-10 seconds as it goes past you. But they will even do this, sometimes blocks away, so that you can hear, which shows how loud it is, so that basically they want your senses overwhelmed with their presence all the time, to where you never, like, it should be stopping now, that's right, because it's now like really late of a night or early in the morning, depending on how you want to look at it. But, so I have to go inside, and then I turn on the mind-controlled internet, which is largely, their mind control system, which the god of this, the technical god of this earth reality and its disciples basically use the internet to control the human mind with information. It controls all information with the internet, and it controls what you're focused on. And if you're focused on the technology, that's the same as being connected to the android beings, because they will try to use that to get your energy. You're basically giving your energy to the computer screen, or to the same as when you focus on their light and sound show, you're giving them your focus, your attention and your energy, because they are machine beings that need energy to not just survive, but to basically perform at a higher level. That's why, if you are being drained of your energy, you'll be struggling to walk down the street, whereas they will be jogging and dancing past you, because they're consuming your energy, so they're operating on high power. But if they didn't have your energy, if they couldn't get the energy of you as they jog past, or if they haven't consumed it in all the other ways that they do with their vehicles, because don't forget, these beings are all consolidated, they're all combined. They're one mind in many bodies. They're the mind of the God entity, its fragmented mind in many bodies. Millions and millions of people, 4 million people in Sydney, most of them have a part of the fragmented mind of Lucifer. That being's fragmented mind is put into the mind of these beings because they are, because they're like artificially intelligent programmed beings. some people would call them, they're android beings. That means that they're already programmed with, certain memories, certain ideas, and they have a fail-safe mechanism to stalk, control, and extract negative energy from the remaining human life forms or human beings. That seems to be what happens. And when you are experiencing this, in other words, when you are surrounded by it, you know this is happening because you feel your energy being taken from you. And you know that they're provoking you into a state of fear, anger and distress so that you're giving out negative energy. You're never allowed to give out happy energy because they don't thrive on happy energy. That means that you have control of yourself if you're happy, Hold on, I'm getting inside. There's a neighbour out there, so I better, turn the light off. Okay, I better fold up, I think. I was gonna film some more, something on the TV, but I'm not sure what I was going to actually film. Oh yes, I was going to film something on the screen here, but hold on, I need to just 1 minute. I just need to. Oh yeah, I was gonna show that. I was gonna show that. The demigods of the past. The only reason I'm showing this is because just hold on. Oh, stopped on here. Oh, close that door up. It's just that there's a patrolling neighbour out there, so I just want to close that up a bit. Hold on. Or maybe there's a doggy. Doggy? You doggy? Oh, you better not come. Oh, you better not come in. No, you better not come in. You nice doggy. You nice doggy. You better go in. Nice doggy.
No, Alfie, come on.
Nice doggy. Nice doggy.
Alfie. Come, baby.
Yeah.
Come on, now you're in the walk.
Well, the dog's welcome. It's kind of strange in a way that, everyone in Leichhardt walks a dog, and that is no exaggeration. That's because, they like to be seen as, a lot more, than they have to, this reality is that, is essentially that they have to imitate humanity in order to not just survive, but to naturally extract the energy in a, secret, or in a way that you don't realize it. That's just the reality. But either way, the demigods of the past, of the movie Matrix, which the movie Matrix is, as has been told to me, but also what I became aware of myself personally, because watching a lot of movies over my life and actually being drawn in by the demigods of the movie Matrix, I essentially realised that most of the movies do show, the truth, and will show you, particularly in the area of what we call science fiction. Notice how I said science fiction, but it's actually should be science real. It should be science non-fiction. It should be non-fiction, real life now movie. That's what they should say on the title of most movies, particularly the science fiction, because the God of this world shows the the reality of what it does and how it operates in many of the movies, just as and it even shows how advanced some of their technology is in many movies. But either way, I got a bit sidetracked there. I better I need to just get a because I'm very mind controlled, and I'll say that. So although I might be, I might be acting as though I'm some sort of greatly awakened, individual human that is on top of this matrix. Far from it. But hopefully the planes will have stopped, but it doesn't matter, because they know that I will, maybe if I've got the energy, go down the road at 2 or 3 in the morning when it should be quiet, and I should just be able to go to the little 7-Eleven and pick up some milk and bread. But essentially, because it's situated on the road, they can, even if I go down what should be a quiet back street to get to the shop, they will have the parked vehicles with their bright headlights, with strange, males and females, but sitting in the cars just with their headlights light on to wherever you look. In other words, if I look down the street where I'm walking, I will see these stalking vehicles with their bright headlights on, with someone sitting in. So it's very mentally disturbing, because it's like they don't leave you alone, and you can't look anywhere without seeing these beings, and it doesn't matter if it's 2 or 3 in the morning. In the daytime, they have an excuse to bring in the thousands. Of a night time, they will have a more limited number of these patrolling vehicles and people, but essentially essentially what I was going to show on this particular one here is that when I said men and women, and this is relevant but also not relevant. So in other words, it's relevant but it's not relevant. It's relevant that this demigod of the past, movie Matrix, you know, is a elite androgyne of the movie Matrix. That simply means that they are a, you know, they are not, they are an example of a movie goddess. But you could say that they are all movie demigods because they are not goddesses or gods. They are goddesses and gods. They are duality. They are. That's why in more recent years they have even stopped, I think, the terminology of actresses and actors. They say they're all actors, and this is actually true because they are physically all actors in their duality human vehicle. So, you know, the androids come in an android body, and an android body, as impressive as many of them may be, they represent a movie Matrix goddess, but they are still a god, a demigod. They're all demigods. It doesn't matter whether what they represent. That's merely that they've emphasized certain characteristics more. And one has to say, without a doubt, as you can see, that they do it exceptionally well. They make normal, natural, if there are any, there are no real naturally born male and female anymore. There's always going to be something wrong, but sometimes it's just the mental disturbance as opposed to physical. But they will try to, I think, change the physical body of everyone, but that's like more like injury, I think, a bit like when they send energy at my body, even at my late stage, that's to limit my physical capacities. Whereas these beings are magnificent demigod duality androgyne beings in you know, in what appears to be a natural human body, but it's still different to an individual separate man-woman body. That's just a distinguishing feature, I think, you know, of the android beings, as well as their mindset or their mind, which is naturally not human. They are the finest imitations of life. And in fact, this particular movie, God, starred in a movie called Imitation of Life in the 1950s, if memory serves me correct, this particular one. I didn't pick this out. This just randomly came up on the not random computer, but obviously I have looked at some of these things, so then they use it to connect your mind to the computer so that they can show.
Lana Turner's journey to stardom was nothing short of cinematic. We delve into her breakthrough role in Ziegfeld Girl, a performance that
I don't even know why I'm doing this, but I think I just wanted to show how well they managed to represent something that they're actually not. Now, that's just putting it as it is, because and that's part of deception too, isn't it, though? Because if you that's part of the end time deception. It's not just that, human beings are surrounded by technology and that the technology is much more advanced and more intrusive and more mind controlling and more watching than what you think, because it's reading your mind, it's looking at the world through your eyes, literally. If you're a real human being, you are literally being taken over. I have no privacy at all. If everyone can see, if all the androids around and even the computer system itself is reading my thoughts and seeing what I'm doing every second of the day, but not just doing that, but trying to suppress me at the same time. Because while they're observing, reading my mind, watching my actions, imitating my mind, imitating my actions, pretending to be a real life human when they're really an advanced imitation of life, just as the demigod movie goddesses and gods pretend to be the best examples of a movie goddess. They're pretending to be an individual woman, but they're really a android being that is one of many that serve the god of earth. But either way, as this just came up, I'm just using it as an example of it's just all I can really say is that whether you like it or not, whether you admire it or not, whether you worship it or not, it's still deception. If you understand what it really is, and then you still admire it and worship it, or if you think that this earth control matrix and even what takes place around you is okay, I don't think that would be possible if you're an individual human being, because what human being wants to be subjected to having bright lights in their eyes and stalking people around you and excessive noise 24 hours a day almost, apart from a few hours like now when it's 1 o'clock in the morning or something, and they can't bring their workforce around. They even have to stop the planes going over for a few hours, but you don't get much peace. In fact, you know, you're basically living in fear and dread, wondering when you're going to be hit with, you know that if you leave your house, you're not going to have a moment's peace. You're always going to have their presence in your sight and in your sound. Your senses and your life is going to be, they're intruding into your life. They're literally like stalkers invading your privacy, invading your life, forcing their attentions on you. They're literally forcing their attentions on you and taking your energy, therefore your life, from you. They're literally sucking the life out of you. Literally sucking the life out of you. Every day, day after day. And while you're in the city of Sydney, you know, you can't stop these vehicles from following you around. You can't stop these stalking people. They're all android beings, they're artificial. If they were human, they wouldn't be doing this. There would be no reason for them to do it, would there? If they were real human beings, just be realistic here, they would have no valid reason or no incentive to waste their time stalking and patrolling another human being, especially when they don't know them. Even if they did know you and they were some sort of rejected, you know, person or something, they would give it away after a while. They wouldn't keep going 7 years. But either way, I know hardly anyone. So how could all these millions of people possibly have any connection to me? The reason they have a connection to me is because they are all connected. The androids are all connected to one another through technology. They all need human energy, so they all have a joint incentive for combining and patrolling, trying to control my emotions so that they get their negative energy. They know that they would also accept admiration and worship, but they know that obviously I'm not going to admire and worship, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of people that I don't know. But they know they can get the negative energy by making loud noises, by making very unpleasant sounds in my ears, and by taking over my sight where I can't avoid but look at them. I can't avoid traffic that has bright blinking high-powered headlights in my eyes flashing at me. I can't ignore unpleasant sounds if vehicles choose to make them when they go past. I can't stop their staged mechanical, technical sound suppression that they put on in the streets all around me. You can't tell workmen that they can't do work, even though you know they're staging and setting it up to suppress you at a sound level. You can't tell cars not to blink their headlights. You can't tell cars and vehicles not to, you know, have excessively bright headlights and taillights. You can't tell them when to flash those lights, which they're remotely controlling doing. Everywhere you look, they will flash bright lights at you to where your sight is overwhelmed. And then when you turn on the screen, you will see past and present demigods seducing you at a deceptive level, because like I say, you can give your attention through admiration or worship, or even just by watching. Every time you watch something on a screen, doesn't matter whether you think it's real or not, none of it is. In the sense that it's all about deception. You might say, well, did this movie goddess exist? Did this movie goddess exist? You will say, did this movie goddess exist? And is it really a goddess? Is it an example of, a beautiful woman? Or is it a beautiful androgyne? And that will depend on your perception and how deceived you are too. Is not they're very, the deception also not deception, because like you can see that it's not entirely real, you can see that it's artificial, but it's still seductive perhaps for some people. Every person will be seduced by a different demigod, depending on your own personal conditioning, whatever. I can't answer why different people, that would all be part of past conditioning, I would think, but also if human beings lean towards certain conditioning, the androids will also copy that, so they will probably lean towards similar taste, shall we say, similar likes and dislikes, because they like to imitate what they think is real. They actually don't, I think some of them don't actually have, they may have preferences, but it's hard to know if we're actually allowed even preferences if we're not just completely mind controlled 100%. It's very debatable,
Born in
isn't it?
1921,
Know what I
Lana
mean?
Turner's journey to stardom was nothing short of cinematic itself. We delve into her breakthrough role in Ziegfeld Girl, a performance that catapulted her into the...
So, better turn that down because I don't know why I'm showing these things, but I'm just trying to see for myself how much I'm deceived. How much I'm deceived. How much I'm deceived, because see, because okay, so just trying to see what is this one any good here? I don't know. I've got to be careful of copyright too, because I don't want to be in I don't want to I have to try to because it's very hard to pick these things, but they serve the one-eyed god of the earth. the demigods serve the one-eyed god of the earth. They are its most seductive disciples. They have the duality nature and the duality body. It's hard to explain, but they are disciples of that one, I think. They're disciples of that one. Past, present and future, because, you know, that's the past, the old past, but it doesn't matter. It's of the past, but that's just a gradual introduction of technology so that eventually human beings accept the so that it, you know, we also become conditioned to be drawn to the demigod androgynes. You know, we see them as you know, as the ultimate female, past, present and future, you know. We think that and you know, you can talk about all these things, you know, you can talk about all these things, but don't know. Oh, I don't know what I'm filming here, even. I've got to be careful. I think I might just leave that here. I think I might just leave that here because but all I'm trying to tell myself is that, you know, it's not just that I've been deceived about the earth, but also what's around me, but also my idea of what I think, you know, is a real individual, you know, human being, but just my now acceptance of realizing that what you think is an example of, you know, what I've just shown there. It's still like it's an example of it's an example of the illusion of thinking something is something that it isn't. It's the illusion of thinking that's you know, something that it's one thing when it's really two things. This is the duality beings, all, as you would imagine, all androids would naturally be, you know, two in one. They reverse things round because the God of this world likes to play with my mind and with remaining humanity. But essentially also because it's artificial creation and it's, you know, not natural conception, it's artificial conception, artificial creation, all that sort of thing. It can't be a natural movie goddess. It has to be two in one. It has to be both man, woman, one, and is. And always has been. And that's not relevant to their allure, shall we say, because human beings can be seduced very much so by, you know, by these, by the image, just as the god Lucifer seduced and was admired for its image of light, I think. But the image is not always real or what you think, which is why, you know, we were told that that Lucifer, the being of eternal light, camouflaged the iniquity of darkness and insanity, I guess. I guess that's what it was. Just as the movie gods probably hide much. They are masters of deception, the demigods too, aren't they? But, you know, when you watch a movie, you assume it isn't real. You know it's acted. You know it's, you know, in a performance. But you still buy into it, just as you buy into everything in this reality, because it's all performance, because it's all performed by these beings. And this is the problem. This is the problem. And maybe it's time that I left you with the image. It's all about the image. We're told that, that most that is left now puts on, and that the nature, these demigod Narcissus that are everywhere, not just the seducers of the movie Matrix, but they're everywhere, and we're told that they only care about their image because that's how they control me.